Good evening and welcome to Posse Presents. Here we are, it's December. We've got the Christmas tree here up in the studio, which we'll be doing our promos. We were just talking about that, Speedo and I, and you'll see that on Christmas Day. But very festive in here in the studio tonight, and you know, my little Grinchy self needs to sort of come to terms with it and get in the spirit of things. But anyway, I want to start tonight with a birthday shout out. I've talked about my dear friend Stacy before, and her birthday was this week on the 27th. So happy birthday, Stacy. You know, Stacy is a one-of-a-kind person, a one-of-a-kind friend every day of the year, and she was absolutely incredible when my mother passed away this summer. She went above and beyond anything and everything that you could ever ask for, and hilariously took command of a situation, a particular situation, which if she's watching, she knows what I'm talking about, and if there's anybody else who knows about it, they sure know what I'm talking about too. It was one of a kind, just like her. But anyway, thank you for being you, and happy birthday. And you know, friends are kind of what life is made for, you know what I mean? I've got a good friend sitting right here in Speedo too, and I certainly appreciate that. Anyway, we had to put in for our next season, which is the end of December, for the next 3 months, and Speedo and I, we got our time slots, so Posse Presents will continue 7 o'clock on Saturday nights for the first quarter of the year, and that's pretty cool. It's kind of, again, you know, I keep saying it's amazing that you know, it's almost a year. I mean, I've been doing it, and I've had a lot of support, and I appreciate all of my viewers, all of my guests, all of my supporters. You know, without you guys, I would have no reason to be here. And YouTube, we've got like 3,200 hits, which is, you know, makes me feel pretty good. Somebody's paying attention. And again, I appreciate that. You know, you can check it out. Posse Presents is on YouTube. If you don't catch the show live, or you just happen to be catching this one, they're all up there from that first painful moment to, you know, tonight will be up there tomorrow. So there's that. We don't have to miss any shows. And thank you. Anyway, the shelters are filling up again, and you know, it's critical. These dogs and cats, their lives depend on you know, getting homes and the support of all of you people out there. And you know, you've got to consider adoption now to keep some of these animals alive. I know that some people, you know, they put on their radar that they're going to add a pet for Christmas or the holiday. But, you know, in the spirit of things, now is as good a time as any if you're going to save a life. And, you know, the motto is, you know, don't shop, adopt. And so that's something that would be really nice for you to consider. Someone's calling me because I hear my phone barking. How funny is that? Anyway, the general rule of thumb is that pets aren't presents. You know, it diminishes a pet's life to make it a gift. It makes it a thing, and that's really not what you want to teach your kids. You want to teach your kids compassion for an animal and put a value on a pet's life. So perhaps if you are considering adding a pet to your home, you might want to teach your kids that you're giving the pet a home for Christmas. It's your gift to the pet, the gift of life, the gift of a home, the gift of love, and put a value on the animal's life instead of, like I said, just making it a present, likening it to a thing that can be discarded without any kind of value. It certainly makes things, puts things in a different perspective, and I think that that's the proper thing to do. you really got to teach your kids now so that when they grow up, they have a better understanding of an animal. And I'd like to bring up a picture that I really love. I saw it last year, and it's on Facebook already this year. What more could you say? How emotional is that? That makes me, like, really, it's all of what I'm about, trying to find these dogs and these cats homes. I wish I might find my home by Christmas night. These animals all deserve a holiday, and they all deserve a home, and they all deserve love. And if you're going to do it, you got to do it forever. And that kind of segs us into the next picture, which, if you would switch it on over there, Zach. A dog isn't a pet isn't a pet temporarily. It's for forever. And it's not until you get bored. It's not until you find a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It's not until you have a baby. It's not until you move. It's not until you don't have time. It's not until the dog gets old. It's forever. It's a commitment. And, if you're going to take a pet into your home, you've got to honor that commitment. And forever can be forever. Dogs can live any number of years. You've got to consider, if you're getting a puppy, it could be the next 15 or more years. If cats can live until 20 years. So unless you're really, really and truly committed to bringing an animal into your home for the duration, then don't do it, because you're not doing that animal any favor, because you're going to end up in a shelter and maybe not get adopted and, lose its life because you're an idiot. I mean, there's just no other way to put that. If you're not committed, then don't do it. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through some of these shelters and some of the animals that are urgent. Zach, if you can bring our first dog up, that would be Tig in North Haven, and he is urgent. He's young, and he's active, and he's smart, and may I add, he's quite handsome. He's been there for months, and he needs out ASAP because, as I said, now he's urgent. He's been there long enough where his time is up. And so if you are interested in Tig, the number is 203-239-5321, and it's extension 250. That's 203-239-5321, extension 250. Tig would love to have a home for the holidays, as the rest of these dogs would, and, consider it. It doesn't have to be a puppy when you go out for a dog, A lot of these older dogs are calmer. They don't have the housebreaking issues. You don't have to train them the same way as you do a puppy. It's a lot less effort, a lot less energy and input on your part. Consider an older dog. Consider adopting. Do it now. Save them. Save them while they're urgent. Well, save them before they're urgent, but once they hit urgent, it's really time to move. Don't delay. Anyway, let's have the camera back for a second. I'm gonna drive Zach crazy tonight. We've already pretty much cleared that up before I started. Bridgeport Animal Control is a very huge facility. They have a lot of animals going in. They fortunately have had enough animals going out. I was going to profile a couple of dogs tonight, and just before I left the house, I saw that one of them was adopted, and that's the most beautiful reason in the world not to have to show a dog, is because it's got a home. But there is one picture I'd like to show of some dogs there. Here we go, Zach. You're going to kill me. Let's get those babies up there. There was a mom and some puppies. Seems like there might be some possible mange going on, but it's very treatable. People get scared when they hear mange. It's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be a big deal. There's two different kinds, and one of them is not contagious, so it's not like you have to worry about it. It requires a little bit of treatment. The earlier it gets caught and treated, the less labor intensive it is, the less, pain and suffering the dog has to go through. And like I said, it's only possible, Mange. It could be a nutritional problem because really, poor nutrition does not do wonders for anybody, whether it's human or animal. So anyway, consider getting these guys out of there. That poor mama is just a baby herself, and it's really, look at that face. It's heartbreaking. She looks, lost in the world, and little baby next to her doesn't look any more confident. It's got to be really hard to be in a big shelter. You're young. Who knows how they ended up there, but give them a home, build their confidence, show them some love. Give them some good food. Let them know what it's like to be a family member. Anyway, Bridgeport Animal Control, that phone number is 203-576-7727. One more time, that's 203-576-7727. Or you can get them on the internet at www.bptanimalcontrol.com. That's www.bptanimalcontrol.com, all one word. All right, Zach, give me back the camera. I'm gonna owe this kid, I'll tell you. Yeah, he agrees. Anyway, another shelter that is full to the brim, as I understand it. Again, there was another dog that I was gonna show from there, but I saw tonight that she was adopted, so amen to that. But Ansonia is full, and they need some help there. We've got a dog to show from Ansonia, and that would be Brandy. Let her rip, Zach. Brandy, yep. He's gonna kill me. There she goes. She's about 4 years old, and she's been at the shelter for a year. She's a beautiful, beautiful girl. I can't understand why nobody would want her. But, after a year, that's a long time. With a beautiful face like that, she should be somebody's princess for sure. The Ansonia Animal Shelter is 203-410-7716. 203-410-7716. And they are also on Facebook, Ansonia Animal Shelter, and she was at the top of the page tonight. She's short and stout. I think they likened her to a coffee table. But, she's got such a beautiful face. I just can't imagine some of the length of time that some of these dogs end up spending in the shelters. And just before I left the house, I posted a dog who had been in Brookhaven in New York for 3 years. You saw it, Speedo. You commented on it. 3 years in the shelter. For the love of God, if he's still there next week, I'll probably try to show him. I just didn't have, last minute was not time to adjust my notes. But, the longer these dogs spend in a shelter, the sadder it is. They really deserve to be in homes, and people treat them such throwaways. It's sad. It goes back to what I said in the beginning. You really need to teach your kids the value of a life. You need to commit to these dogs forever. Yeah, sometimes things happen, but really, for a beautiful dog like that to sit in the shelter for a year, it's just far too sad. Anyway, let's go to our next dog, which is in Hartford. There he goes. Look at him. They're calling him Captain Jake, and he is about 2 years old. He's very underweight, starving for attention, and just a sweet, sweet dog. They took him to the vet, and they determined that the eye was surgically removed, so at least he wasn't, it wasn't like it was gouged out somehow, and he just had to recover from it on his own. However, you got to figure it's pretty sad when an animal loses an eye like that. But his urgent date is 12/7. And you know how it runs in Hartford. They have 10 days to find a home, and after that, on that 10th day, if they're not out of there, they're out of there. And it's not tail wagging, let's put it that way. But imagine the story this guy's got to tell. Poor thing. I mean, the one eye he's got, he looks pretty worried. And, you know, you can't blame him. He's lost and alone in the world. I mean, he's in Hartford. Let me tell you, they love him for the time they have him. I know that. Sherry is awesome, and all the volunteers there are awesome. But, you know, you could see, like, that worried look on poor Captain Jake's face. And wouldn't it be better to see him comfy and happy in a home, eating some good food? You could kind of see his ribs showing through. It's sad. It really, really is when these dogs show up in any condition, but when they've clearly not been having the best of lives, you just, it's so heartbreaking, and you just want to see the best ending for them. So really, somebody needs to step up and save this guy, because, you know, really, why should he be any less desirable because he has just one eye? You know, dogs with disabilities and problems like that. Let's go back to Laurel Cox and ask her what it's like to have a dog with a handicap. She's had them all. And she is actually a very active and strong supporter in Hartford, so bless her heart. And, you know, I don't know if we could get her to take Captain Jake, but I kind of tend to think not, because she's got her hands full. So someone's got to step up, help Jake out. And Zach, let's show the other Hartford dogs that are urgent for this week. There's a few of them, all with their dates posted there. And, you know, Captain Jake is just one of them. And so they do all have literally until the date that's shown there. And I believe it's Laurel that makes these pretty little posters for these dogs. And she does like a great job with the little backgrounds. This one's got the snowflakes, obviously. But if you're interested in any of the dogs that you see here, or any of the other dogs, City of Hartford Animal Shelter on Facebook, or ctshelterdogs@gmail.com, ctshelterdogs@gmail.com. Anyway, all right, Zach, I think I'm through torturing you for the night. So we'll take the camera back, and there we go. He's going to kill me tonight. Anyway, you know, it's cold outside, and, you know, it's winter time, and the one thing that I just want to say is do not leave your animals outside. It's never a good idea, but now that it's cold and, you know, you just, outside is not the place to leave them, especially if you don't want them. I had a little situation brought to my attention today, and it's really sad, about, you know, a dog that's been just kind of left outside. If you don't want your animal, find it a home. Don't just put it outside because, like, you know, you put your garbage outside. It's a life, and any animal, whether it's a cat or a dog, you don't just open the door, let it go, leave it in the yard, chain it outside, forget about it. You know, you're responsible. Once you take an animal in your house, in your home, you're responsible for it, whether you like it, you don't like it, you want it, you don't want it. You know, you are responsible. So if you don't want an animal, don't just open the door and let it out and forget about it. It's cruelty. It's pain and suffering on the animal. And that's not fair. You know, don't abuse and cause suffering because you lost interest. You know, if you can't afford to feed it, if you can't afford to take care of it, if, like I said, you lost interest, you don't want it anymore, don't just leave it to die outside. Don't think that, you know, throwing it a little bit of food here and there is going to help. Do the responsible thing. And if it comes down to having to take it to the pound, that's still better than letting it freeze outside, starve to death outside, you know, and suffer before it dies. It's not fair. And just another note, and I always talk about this, if you're going to be bringing an animal into your home, expect that it's not going to be perfect. Expect that it's going to take time to get to know the animal. There are no perfect animals. There are no perfect people. And you put the two together, there are no perfect pet owners. So you have to be attentive to your animal's needs. You have to understand where an animal is coming from. You can't just throw them into a new home situation and think that everything's going to work out. You got to work at it a little bit. Again, there are no perfect dogs. I can't think of anybody who's got a single dog that is without some sort of an issue. And, I I fall into that category. My dogs are winners in a lot of respects, but, I love them dearly, and they mean the world to me. And just like when you love a person with all of his or her flaws, you need to love your animals with all of his or her flaws, because that's love. That's truly making something or someone important to you. You can't just throw the dog into the house and expect it's going to follow all your rules and know what you want of it. You have to take the time to be patient. You have to, if a dog's been in a pound or a shelter, you don't know what brought it there. You don't know what happened in that animal's life to make it the way it is. You don't know even what it went through at the pound. It's not perfect living at the pound. Those municipal facilities do the best they can for the most part. There are some better than others. There are some a lot worse than others. But, it's not home. It's not one-on-one attention. They're sitting in a run. They're sitting in a kennel. They're not given attention the way they would if they were in a home. So when they get out, they're usually full of all kinds of energy. They need to settle into your home. If you've got other animals, there's got to be proper introductions. And, unfortunately, an animal is not going to present its true self in the pound or in the shelter. It could get better at home. It could get worse at home. There's no way to tell. An animal that maybe is defensive at the pound and being labeled aggressive towards other animals could be fine when it gets home and is living in the properly introduced to other family members and other animals. Or, unfortunately, sometimes it goes the other way. It's all fine and well when you bring your dog down to the pound to meet the dog you want to adopt, and then you get home and things kind of fall apart because, well, maybe, your existing dog's a little possessive, or maybe, the dog that you just brought home is having a little trouble adjusting. You got to take it all into consideration, and you've got to work with it. Like I said, nobody is without their own little glitches and their own little faults, and you've got to give it a chance. You can't bring a dog home and in 32 seconds decide, oh, well, this isn't going to work. I mean, if there's an all-out brawl and a dog fight, yeah, you may have a problem on your hand. But if you do things right and you do things slowly and you show the animal exactly what you expect of it, you have a whole lot better chance of it being successful. So don't be so quick to bail. Unfortunately, there's a lot of instances where these dogs get brought into foster or they get adopted, and the next day, oh, it's not working out, we got to find a new home. That's not what it should be about. You really, really, really have to give it a chance. You have to give the dog some time to adjust to getting out of the situation that it was in. Yours may be the first home that is ever really and truly a home. So you have to expect that you have to show the animal the way, and you have to earn its trust. Just because, and we've said this before, I think on the show with Allison when she was on, just because the dog is home and everything's going to be okay, the dog has no idea. You have to show it. You have to earn its trust. You have to earn its respect. You have to kind of maybe sometimes show the dog who's boss, but above all, you have to show the dog some compassion, because it's not like walk in and be like, woohoo, I'm home, and everything's going to be okay. Show the dog the way, and you'll have a lot easier time. Expect the glitches. Don't just expect perfection. You're not perfect. No perfect pets, no perfect people, no perfect pet owners. And, that having been said, yeah, my standards may not be your standards. My way of treating an animal or living with an animal may not be the same as yours, but that doesn't make either one of us wrong, except when an animal is put in danger, except when an animal is abused or not taken care of. Then it becomes a problem, and there is a right or wrong. So just keep in mind that you've got to take things in stride and take it in small steps, and you're going to have a far better success rate. And I think that we're probably going to do another show with introductions and how to do all that kind of stuff, because it always bears repeating. Anyway, tomorrow at the Cheshire Cat and Dog 2, Santa will be there, and you can get your pet's picture taken with Santa, and that's always fun. I used to do that with Daisy. I haven't done it in a long time because 4 is a little hard. But it was just Daisy. We used to go every year, and it was a lot of fun. And so Cheshire Cat and Dog tomorrow between 10 and 2. Bring it on down, and we're just about to wrap up. And I'm going to say peace, love, and dogs. Thanks for watching. Thanks for letting me ramble. And until next week, we will say good night. Good night, everybody. And special wave for the friend of mine who knows what that's all about. Enjoy. Go adopt a pet. Make it home for the holidays. Say good night, everybody.